obviously probably there are some bad actors or even some people, involved in the Russian government who are probably trying to hack America on a regular basis, but like
Yeah.
how much of it is really going on and like at all times, or and are countries like America and Russia, are they constantly trying to like, let's see how far we can get into their, like, is there like a hacking war going on?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, real time, right? Like we can see these, um, we can actually see the attacks happening in real time. There's a lot of websites that show like like a
Wow.
map,
I
global
didn't
map,
know that.
and yeah,
Damn.
we can see that the literally attacks, and we're attacking just as much,
Oh, I'm
right? So
sure. Are
that
you kidding me? I fucking, my
yeah,
God.
I mean, you're not innocent at all, right? Like it's many times, we're taking systems down around the world. I mean, this is real. I mean, look, the internet is the internet of the people, right? Like this is literally like the internet is for the people, and that means you can see what's happening around
Yeah.
the world, right? Specific, packets that are, like bank transfers, these are secured, whatever,
Right.
whatever. But when you're targeting like open servers, or like specific kinds of servers, you're sending, you're doing you're attacking another country, and we can see that there's a lot of traffic,
Right.
going, like we can detect these things. But yeah, it's real, right? But as far as like the consciousness, now this is another level.
Welcome to Far Out with Faust. I'm Faust Chicho, and today I'm sitting here with one Jonathan Scott. Well, that's one of his few AKAs, is what I've learned. And
Right. Right.
Jonathan is the #1 rated hacker in the United States, and he's #4 rated hacker in the world. And his background is a bit extensive, so I'm going to turn it over to Jonathan to let you tell you a little more about his background. But thanks everybody for beaming in. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me. Uh, yeah. So the title, people ask, well, how do you get that #1 hacker in the world? #4. It's like, that's like a big thing, to claim, right? But so in the bug bounty world, this is kind of a it's kind of a big deal, right? Like this rating, how it's kind
Yeah.
of that, it's like that clout, right? That people chase. Now, in it is a real title. On hacker1.com, for the 90-day period of it was September, so August, September, October. The or yeah, I believe it was, or September, October. No, yeah, it's August, September, October. So I was #1 hacker in the U.S. And then #4 in the world, until I got kicked off of the bug bounty platform, actually. So
That's right. I was reading about that controversy as well.
yeah,
I was gonna get into that as well, but um, yeah, like, but what's your? Did you? I mean, like, I know obviously you can't really go to school for.
sure. No. So my background. So I have I actually have a bachelor's in philosophy,
Oh, awesome. Okay,
a master's in computer science, specializing in security engineering, and working on my doctorate right now in computer science. And so that's my
awesome.
education, but you don't really they don't teach you how to hack, right?
No,
That's the
I guess
thing,
they
right?
don't. No.
Um, unfortunate, right? I mean, there's a lot of good things that can come from it, right? Like a lot of ethical hacking. Truly people need it, like penetration testing, even, right? Offensive stuff. Like if you have a business, right, you want to be able to make sure that no one can get in from the outside or from the inside, mess things up, really.
Absolutely. And I mean, the truth be told, with the world and the condition that it's in, you know, it's like we need hackers. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say it, but who's going to hold these people accountable? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, there
Yeah.
has to be somebody or something that is going to say, you might want to think twice about this because you're not going to be able to hide it. And really, sometimes I think that the only thing keeping them from the continued, pillage and the way they take advantage of people and systems is the fact that there's virtually no way to hide what
Yeah.
you're doing anymore, thanks to the digital age.
Yeah, that you make a good point, and there's always like people that are trying to either try to be more stealthy or trying to be like more covert, and then but that's where spyware comes in though too, right? Like, so in that sense, it's like, well, they're hackers that create programs, so maybe not them, but the programs are more stealthy than the hackers would ever be, and then so it's kind of replaced the hacker in the sense, the physical hacking, the real-time hacking, to making it a program to go in and be super stealthy in the background. I mean, these are the kinds of things I was contracted to do. Actually, I was contracted to make, hacking tools, spyware tools, and this is kind of where like my whole life just went,
Yeah. Yeah.
when you do something like that, it's kind of, yeah.
It probably changes everything.
Yeah. But like, as far as like the the ratings, it's real, the leaderboard shows it. But yeah, I was kicked out because I actually there's a lot of corruption in the bug bounty community. I mean, you're talking about like big tech stealing the bounties from hackers, or saying that what they've reported is not a vulnerability, but then going behind their back and fixing it.
Yeah.
And this is a really big issue. I mean, there's tons and tons of media surrounding it,
Yeah.
And so what's happening is it takes that, that safeguard that or safe harbor that the hackers have engaged in. So say, like Verizon says that you can hack their site, but yet when you submit something, they say it's not an issue, and then they go behind their back and fix it.
Yeah.
Right. And so, well, it takes a lot of that. The trust, one, that the programs are even legit anymore, takes that away. And two, it's actually had this huge rise of 0-day brokers. So these people that are actually, hey, I'll pay you $5,000 for that vulnerability, and then they turn around and sell it to a government, or they say, hey, I'll give you $500,000 for if you can hack into Telegram, or if you can hack into Signal. Right. So a program called Zerodium exists, and they're straightforward. Look, as far as ethics goes, you can say what you want, but they're very straightforward. Hey, we're selling everything that we buy from you to a government.
Right.
And okay, I mean, if you know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah. Then it just becomes a matter of whether you have any kind of
qualms
or morals about, well, maybe it's not the best idea to do this thing, but fuck it, I need the money. You know what I mean? Like, so,
dude, I'm with you. I mean, that's the one thing. Like, I have a buddy of mine. He's a hacker, and he has some amazing exploits. And he said, I gotta ask. Let me ask my wife what she thinks about this. And she said, hell no, do not submit to this. And when he said, well, what did your wife say when you kind of sold out to these big bounties like this? And I was like, she said, don't do it. And I went and I was like, fuck it, I'm doing it, so it didn't turn out good for me in the end.
Should have listened to your wife.
I should have listened. I'd tell you all day long, I should have, and I told him that too. I was like, dude, I should have listened to my wife. I said, so, if you feel like that's the best decision for you, listen to your wife, then listen to your wife, but
it's always, trying to figure out whether what voice is talking to you, whether it's your intuition, it's a gut feeling, or whether, it's fear, or what is it, is always a challenge. I was going to talk to you a little bit about that, because I was reading about some of the controversy that you were in. And I was like, it's like when you're dealing with a company, especially a giant multi-billion-dollar, conglomerate, it's like, it just reminds me of Pfizer. I mean, like, people were saying that this new product of theirs was causing, heart problems for people, and they're like, no, that's very, very, very rare. And then they turn around and quietly add a blood acid stabilizer. I think it's a crazy name. That's like thromboline or thrombolize, to their children's version of this product they're putting out. And I'm like, why would they do that if there was We have no problem here. Just, it's like, I mean, they do that all the time. It's crazy how they kind of avoid admitting they had a problem while they quietly go and fix it,
Yeah, that's frustrating. That's very frustrating.
Yeah.
This is but that's how they operate though, right?
Yeah.
That's how big tech operates. I mean,
Oh
big
yeah.
tech,
It's a corporate,
yeah.
kind of a corporate manifesto. It's like bottom line above everything else. So.
Yeah, it's pretty horrible. I mean, the situation that I was in with that got me actually kicked off the platform was there was people's W-9 information leaking on Yahoo Business servers. And so Yahoo Business is owned by Verizon. And then so Apollo Capital was actually acquiring Yahoo Business, which they did acquire Yahoo Business, and then just renamed Yahoo Business just Yahoo. Okay, so the point is, so when I submitted all these things to Verizon Media, right? Verizon Media, they say, hey, look, there's leaking information, and here's the issue. All right, so maybe these people did upload their own W-9 information to the servers. Well, these servers are replicating, right, their W-9 information. So not only did they put it into one place, right, the servers were actually replicating it to many different places, and there was no security on these servers. None.
Right.
And the little lock that you see at the top of the website, right? Like people like, hey, there's no lock here. Or if you go to a browser and it says, hey, there's no security on here, it
Right.
prompts you. This is exactly where the people's information was being stored, on these servers that was not protected. There was no checks to see if there was any information like this. I mean, technology exists so that if people upload sensitive information like this to servers, companies exist just to check the servers for this kind of stuff, to make sure it's not leaking out everywhere. I mean, W-9 information is big, man. You're talking about like, literally, you know what I'm saying?
There's a lot there. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's your tax record, really. And so it ends up, they said first, they validated the vulnerability. That's the first thing. They said, yes, you have something here. They escalated it and said, hey, this is super important. They actually passed it off to another inside group in Verizon. And then HackerOne themselves validated this. And then they come back 3 days before they're signing with Apollo Capital and say, this isn't an issue. This is not a vulnerability. This is a privacy issue, and privacy issues are not security issues. And so they dismissed it.
So they changed their song. They went from saying one thing to saying something else.
100%. So if your data is leaking on a website, which is a server, you have a server misconfiguration issue, right? Like, one, if I can find your information in any way that I shouldn't be able to find it, right? If you believe that where you've uploaded this information is secured,
right, you
have an issue with your server. Okay, it's leaking information. So they said there's no security issue. Now, I say this only because it was a big controversy, right? Huge controversy. People are like, this is not an issue. This is not their problem. And this is not, but then there's one side that says, this is crazy. Why is this allowed to happen? And there's the other side that's like, you're an idiot. You're fucking stupid. Like this is not their problem. Right. But yet, fast forward a month after all this controversy and the issue's fixed.
Right. So that's very telling. So the issue that wasn't an issue is no longer an issue, right? It's no longer there. So I guess there was something to fix. That's very telling.
And the proof is there, and I didn't expose the actual like endpoints on my GitHub repository. I told the story and I showed the evidence of why I got kicked out on HackerOne. Right. Because I couldn't stand for this. I wasn't going to stand for American people truly being exposed, right, by an American company, right, at that. And so I wasn't going to stand for it. And I got kicked out of the bug bounty HackerOne. Then the second largest platform in the world said, because of your actions on HackerOne, we're kicking you out of our platform. And that's BugCrowd.
Right. You were getting canceled then.
Man, it was a mess. It was a mess. I mean, yeah, it was
Yeah.
interesting, you know?
Yeah. Well, and when you're dealing with companies and corporations, they tend to, yeah, I mean, they will, make phone calls and cooperate in making sure that everybody is
Oh, yeah.
feeling their wrath, and
Yeah,
unfortunately, they have a very wide reach,
that's true, man.
in general. But I'm sorry you were going through all that. Whatever, as far as I understand, in learning a little bit about you, was that you had your intentions were in the right place, and they did confirm to you the thing that you pointed out, and then they turned around and said, "Oh, it wasn't this," and then you were dealt a bunch of repercussions for what you pointed out, which they
Right.
validated at first, and then turned around and said, "No, no, no, this isn't what you said it was. Nothing to see here." And then
Yeah.
you saw the consequences of them kind of blaming you for it,
Hmm.
which is strange, considering it's not it's not your software, it's not your
Yeah.
program
Right.
that's having the problem, whether it's valid or not. So it's fascinating. I mean, hackers in general have such a mystique, right? There's so much. I don't know if you read The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, that series, that Swedish,
Yeah.
great
I,
series.
I saw the series. I didn't actually read it,
Oh,
but
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
the Swedish movies were pretty good. I think they made a movie. They finally made an American movie that was. It was
Yeah.
apparently it was really good. There was a lot of academies, but
Yeah.
the book's so good, man. I
For
ended up
sure.
reading all those books, but it's like kind of it gave hackers this superpower mystique,
Yeah.
because and rightfully so, because there's an ethical side of hacking in our society today that is, I think, a kind of an integral and vital part of the age of information that we're living in. So it's very cool to talk to someone like you in this time that we're
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
But
Appreciate that.
dude, what I want to know is, why is every hacker named Jonathan? I'm like, yo, I'm like doing research, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Jonathan, Jonathan, Jonathan,
That's weird. That's
Jonathan.
weird, right? I mean, so some
It's
of the
like,
best
what the
hackers that
fuck?
I know are their names. I don't know. I don't
It's
know.
crazy, right?
That is interesting. Like, so, like the top researcher for Citizen Labs is named Jonathan Scott, actually, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Then Jonathan Levin, who is
Right.
one of the
I mean,
best.
the legend of Jonathan James, who
Right.
happens to have the same last name as like a Wild West bandit.
Right. I know. Right. I mean, that is
Crazy. I mean,
it.
how it's like, I was reading about him. I was like, so the Jonathan James is a legendary hacker, because at 15 he was his code name was Comrade with a
Mhm.
zero, and he was just, I mean, at 15 years old, this dude was hacking into like Bell South and
Right.
like the Marshall Space Flight Center, and within a year he would go on to I think he was the first one to hack into the Pentagon, right? I mean,
Right.
that's
Right.
and the Defense Department. I mean, like,
And then found a lot of interesting documents,
that's right.
to say the least.
That's right. This dude was
Yeah.
so he was so young, he ended up going to juvenile hall.
Hmm.
And then there was he got out, and then there was a big controversy, and not surprisingly, he was found dead, shot with a gunshot wound in the shower, and of course it was a, quote, suicide.
Sure. It always is, honestly. This is the reality of it, right?
Yeah.
So there's a limit, right? If so,
Yeah.
there's one thing that you don't want to do is cross the US government, right? Those your allies. Um, when you get to a level of let's just say when you get to a certain level, you're approached, right? Let's just say
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
or in some capacity. And this story, everything I'm saying, actually, you can go to Mike Jones is actually the haunted hacker, is a friend of mine, we had a conversation about this, like that there's something, you become an asset, right? And if you don't, go towards that side,
you don't
just be
last long.
prepared. Be
Yeah.
prepared.
Yeah.
And this is real. Like you see it in movies. Like you'll see, but there's that side that says no, and then you get put on
Right.
watch, right? Not to say that we're not all put on watch, right? But
Right.
but the point is yeah, that's real. I mean, I believe I'm a patriot. I love our country, right? I may not like what's happening in our country,
Right.
right? But I'm never going to
It's
go
the same with
against it.
me.
Yeah,
I think you can only get angry about something if you really love it,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so yeah. I mean, there's a lot of truth to some some movies, right? Depict hackers as maybe running from the law or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of truth to that. Depends on what you're doing, which side you're on, and the consequences are actually more dire than movies
Oh,
even depict. You know.
as soon as I read about this dude, about what's his name, Jonathan James, I was like, I did not know the story. Okay, I just was reading about the kind of the most legendary hackers, and of course his story stood out because the first thing you read is like he was only 15 years old, and he's the first. I think they call him cracker when they're underage, right?
Right.
And I was like, mind blowing. And then I'm reading what he does, and I'm like, there's no way in hell either he works right now, for the Defense Department, or he's not alive. That's my immediate thought, was like, somebody with disability from that young of an age is going down. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and if he has any kind of, penchant for breaking the law, there's no way they leave him out there. He's just far too dangerous. God forbid the Chinese pick him up, fly him over to Beijing, because the things that they'll do to him to get him to, and there's the talk about no morals, they'll do whatever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean,
so
yeah.
he's a liability so I was like, damn. And then when I read that, I was like, holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
It was like just a thought that I had, and I was like, but there it is, suicide by gunshot. Of course, there's a suicide letter, and everything is lined up, which doesn't surprise me at all. They're really good at that.
Yeah,
but
they are.
Just crazy.
I mean, you heard of Aaron Swartz, right? Like the guy who started Reddit.
A little bit, yeah.
So like, there's a lot of controversy around this too, because his mission before he died, or committed suicide, right, was he wanted to free the justice system, in the sense that let's say if you want to actually access public records for the courts, you have to pay, right? And this is the reality even today, which is strange to me, right? It's public record. The courts are for the people. We pay taxes, right? These records, we should be able to read them without being charged for reading these public records. Interesting, right?
Yeah.
And so this was his mission before he passed, was to free these documents, to free and so the short of it is he was caught actually harvesting records, and so that he can put them into the free net, and
wow.
And the consequence of his actions were so severe, right? With what was being what he was being accused of, and then the consequences that he was hearing about led him to this point that
right.
Fuck it, I'm done. But he started Reddit. I mean, he'd been a hacker since he was a kid,
Yeah.
And but this is it. Like I think that there comes a point, and as we grow, we turn from this truly like a black hat or a gray hat, right? Like these it still exists, right? These terms, right? We turn from this side into the good side, right? This white hat, and we realize, like, what are we doing, right?
Yeah.
What have we been doing this whole time? How did we make our money? How did we live our life? And there's a lot of people like this that have we've kind of switched over, right? So I work with a lot of human rights groups around the world, human rights defenders, around the world. And I teach forensics, mobile forensics. I teach offensive and defensive mobile hacking so that we can protect ourselves. But I wasn't on this side, but this is how, this is a typical like story, right? That happens. And I think, again, as we mature, I'm 35, we kind of realize like, what are we contributing to the world?
Right.
Or are we just sucking the life out of the world and then contributing all this negative energy back into the world with what we're creating?
It's so true, man. And it's an awakening that happens, you can call it whatever kind of awakening you want to call it, but it's an awakening of consciousness. I mean, 100%. Like sometimes it takes the loss of something, sometimes it takes a heartbreaking situation for you to become conscious of your actions. You know what I'm saying? Like, but in the end, the more conscious you are, of how you affect people and how you can affect the world. And like, then you start to look at the bigger picture, you can start to take action that is more productive and constructive and positive. Right. And so that's, it's amazing to hear, that, and that's very cool, man, because there's enough, I mean, I tell my kids all the time, my kids are 10 and 7, and I'm like, listen, 99% of people who are doing things that are harming people are doing it because they think they're doing good. Okay.
Yep. Gosh,
you don't have many people out there who are, in acting, we have a saying, if you're playing the bad guy and you're new at acting, the tendency for beginners and people who are not really well versed in character acting is they'll play the bad guy. And that's completely opposite. That's not true to life. Just like if you're playing a drunk, you don't play drunk. Mm-hmm. Drunks are really good at getting by like they're not drunk. It's just the slightest thing that gives them away. This like they'll just knock something over, or you'll just see them and they'll just, a little bit of did you just almost fall over? I almost missed it. You know what I mean? Like it's the little things, but they're trying the whole time not to seem drunk. And it's the same thing with bad guys. You know what I mean? Like they're not, you don't want to get caught if you're playing a bad guy twisting in your mustache, they don't do that.
No,
they're
that's
very
a really good point.
Good, and I mean, and I tell my kids, I'm like, look, most people have, their intentions are good they've justified their actions. They think that they're doing good, but the problem is they're not conscious enough to realize that they're hurting people, or they've decided that what they're doing is so important that it's okay that they hurt people. So,
that's true, man.
You got to kind of, in order to understand, you got to transcend the duality and the labeling and the judgment, because it's easy to judge. It's harder to sit back and be like, okay, so some people think that what they're doing is saving the world, but just because they have to, break a few eggs to make an omelet, people are like, well, why shouldn't they? And I'm like, because it's hurting people. That's why, because it's not right, because it's deceptive. It's saying you're doing one thing and you're really doing another. You know what I mean? Like if you have to lie about it, that's usually a key signal, I think.
This is, I'm going to use that, what you're saying, like with, drunks try not to be drunk. I mean, this is so true.
Exactly.
But, and so I believe people are inherently good, and for a while, I stopped saying that just because just life was happening, right? Life was happening around me, life was happening, for me, right? But in a way that I didn't understand.
To you, it was happening to you, right?
Yeah, to me, right?
Right.
Exactly. But I came back into this into my, I changed my ethos, right? And I came back into believing that people are truly inherently good. And I analyzed a lot of things, right? I truly, it wasn't until I realized what I was actually doing that my life started actually shifting and for the better. And really, I mean, everything from my marriage got better to my mental health, my physical health, just everything just started getting better because I was creating these tools for big tech that were breaking in, that allowed them to break into devices, right? Have stealth mode into devices,
Right.
without anyone ever knowing. And these are things called, they were calling features, right?
Right.
These are features, right? And we're going to pay you 1.5 million US dollars and 500,000 US dollars, and we're going to wire transfer this to you, and you just need to teach us how to do this. Don't worry about anything else, but just fly here in the world, and then fly here in the world, and then fly here in the world, and teach these engineers, and then we're going to create software to distribute around the world.
Right.
And so and a lot of the software that I've created is actually, it's active in the world right now.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to fight against it. Right. Because, even the US government just last week said, you cannot sell hacking tools to these countries on this list. Well, just countries on the list, is not going to really stop anyone.
You can sell them to our companies.
Right.
Especially the ones we're in business with, but not to, yeah.
And there's it's the lesser of the evils, I suppose, in that sense. Right. But but the point is like, the allure, right? So for me, it was, wow, who gets paid this much money in cash? Right. And then half of it gets stolen from me, from my cousin-in-law.
That's right. I was reading about that too. What the
Well, he's a piece of shit, man. His name is John, piece of shit, John Edward Signs. It's weird. He I hadn't seen him since I was 11 years old. It's my cousin's husband. He was like broke when I had started talking to him again. He was in a bad spot, and then he weasels his way into this business deal that I'm in, and then he takes $750,000, bounces and says, I'm out, and then sign this release or I'm going to fuck up your life. And
and that's the thing, dude. And when you're dealing in a way that is already shady, it's so, it's like you're already in a place you don't want to be. So people come in and they just, they're like sharks to blood. They see the opportunity and they know you're already compromised, and it's going to be very difficult for you to do anything about it. So that's the other thing you have to, when you're living in that kind of world, it's like, oh man, I got to deal with this. How am I going to, it's like, I can't just call the police. This dude is, it's like you're in a situation. So man.
Yeah. It's very interesting. Like the money truly is like, this is the root to everything. Right. So even like the root to, good and bad, right? Like either you recognize that you don't need it, right? To be happy, then, what you need it to live, and you need a little bit more for your family to survive and to be comfortable. But the excessive amounts of money bring so much, to me, in my life, at least, it was just honestly just evil. I got to say straight up, it was just that negative energy was just flooded in my life. Honestly, I don't even talk to my parents anymore. Don't talk to my sister. I was like disinvited. I was like uninvited to a family funeral.
Wow.
Right. Because of all this mess. Again, and I'm not saying, look, I'm at fault for, I was greedy, right? Like, I was greedy. I was selfish. There's a lot of things that I take responsibility for, right? Like I wanted more. So I started creating more, and big tech was like, this is amazing. We want that. Right. And literally a contract said, everything that you create, we want the first right of refusal for it.
Right.
But then like I said,
but let me ask you this: that's like deep down, did you have were you like, should I be doing this? We're like, because our beliefs about something, even as we're doing them, they're going to shape the result, and they're going to shape the experience. And so when you go and you start doing things that you're quietly like feeling really, really troubled and disturbed about, it's like, so then what happens is they start to create an effect, so the money that came, everything that happened after that, I think probably was a result from you kind of, not following, your greatest integrity or, or truth. 100%. And I hope that since then think you've made amends with your family, or at least have plans to, or I hope things kind of smoothed out for you since then. I don't know how long it's been.
Yeah, I mean, not yet. Not yet. I still, there's things that we have to work through as a family. I mean, I had a lot of misplaced anger because of a lot of things that were happening. I mean, former business partner who was John Sines, he stole everything from me, like literally, like all my intellectual property, literally like every company document we could have ever had.
Right.
And so I had a lot of misplaced anger, but I was upset about, you stole all the technology, you stole like literally, all the money, like, half the company. I mean, just, you didn't do anything, you didn't work for it. But in reality, I needed that because I needed to realize what the hell I was creating.
Right.
I needed that, like, but I wasn't awake yet. Right. Like I truly, I was so like absorbed with the money and everything involved with it. I was so upset. You stole my technology. You stole my way of making money.
Right.
But what did I steal from the people?
Right.
You
and
know
what was
I'm
I
saying?
creating? Yeah.
What harm did I do to the people? And it's literally like the universe was saying, you need to stop worrying about what this guy took. Yes, he's a piece of shit, and the universe takes care of him. But look at what you've done.
Yeah.
And so, man,
huge lesson, dude. That's a huge. I mean, most people, would write it off. They'd take the loss, but they would never realize that what happened to them is in direct correlation to what they were doing. That is cause and effect. It is the one constant rule in this universe is cause and effect. And it's easy to say this happened to me. So
you don't want to get in trouble, right? You don't want to accept that responsibility. You're right. But even as an adult, right? Like I didn't realize this. Like, again, like I said, for years, I was just like this misplaced anger and like super upset with everything that's happened. But finally, I'm just like, I get it. Right. Yeah. So my mission changed, right? Like my mission in life changed. And so now I'm exposing these things. Right. So I'm a whistleblower, right. And exposing big tech and the military, for what they've actually done and the, and known about. Right. I mean, I had a full, I believe it's like a 3-hour podcast on a dark web series about the actual things I created, who contracted me, who was involved.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like the government agencies that were involved. I mean, they know about the things that I've created because I have the proof. Right. I mean, this is like from the top, like we're talking about like a colonel at the Pentagon. Like, we're talking about like encrypted video chats with the people in the background that have like half their face, like, covered in
just
shadow.
Like in the movies. Yeah.
Literally like in the movies. I'm not even kidding. This is real life.
Crazy.
And like, people, I didn't know their names, but we still had meetings. I mean, we're talking like this web goes really, really deep, and I remember I was telling my story in a clubhouse one day, and man, it was such a relief because of my story. I had told my story before, but it was always, I'm a victim.
Yeah.
And even if I wanted to try to not be the victim, it wasn't fully honest yet. Right. It wasn't until I actually realized what I had done that my story was actually heard for what it truly was, because I had to actually accept the responsibility of my actions, man. And that's a truth in itself. It's like, I don't want to hear your crap.
Right.
I don't want to hear your crap story and your sad story. No one wants to hear a sob story. I mean, you can feel, you can sympathize with them and stuff, but what did you actually do?
Right.
And so again,
and I think it's like that. I think that's a general thing. There's a difference when you listen to people and it as soon as they start talking, that, and the story goes to this happened, and it's always like, but wait a minute. And it's become cliche because, we have this thing wrapped around in our culture and where, everyone is, very sensitive right now, but it's like, but you can just sense there's a piece of the story missing, a big piece. Like, wait a minute, but what did you do? You know what I mean? Like, so all this happened and you did nothing.
Right.
That's why your wife is so angry. You know what I mean? It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
What did you do, bro? You know, it's like,
yeah. But like you said, it's like and until you understand, like until you elevate your consciousness and examine yourself, you can't win in the world, because you're fighting yourself,
and you're gonna keep running up against it. You're gonna keep having the same problems. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, it takes a lot of courage to be truly honest because you can analyze with the mind all day, right? The mind is really good at that, but analyzing with your mind and keeping it tethered to your heart is a different story, because then when you find what you see, it's not always easy to deal with, right?
Sometimes it's like I was taking a stance even online with people, like it's funny, like a lot of there's a man, Twitter is like can be sometimes a cesspool, right?
No, you can say it. That absolutely can be. It's funny.
But it's kind of one of those necessary evils of being a hacker, right? Like making sure that one, you can educate the people that are on Twitter, right? Like this is like the old hack boards, like Hack BB, right? This is like the old bulletin boards, where like if you're trying to be a hacker, this is the space where you go. This is Twitter space, right? You learn everything from the current events to how to hack specific things. Like you engage yourself with specific people on Twitter so that they can teach you, right, how to do things, right? You do classes. This is your space. And so me being in this community, right, I'm trying to teach, right? I'm trying to educate. And it's funny because, I never ask anybody to follow me. I don't ask anybody to like,
Speaking of that, if you're watching this video, stop what you are doing and subscribe to my channel. Okay. I just had to say that. Sorry. Thank you for the reminder.
But yeah, so I do this because I'm trying to teach people, but then there's this other side that's like, what you're teaching is bullshit. It's crap. It's not real. It's not a vulnerability. This is not a real thing. And it's so funny because it's these people that don't know even and this is really interesting. That they'll say what you're submitting is not real. It's not, you're a liar. It's not a vulnerability. It's not a real thing. But yet I've sold this for $500,000.
Right.
Already. Like, and that's the thing. I'm like, you can say all the fuck you want.
Right.
But I have in the bank account what somebody paid for me. I'm not proud of what I did, so I'm sharing with you on how to stop it.
Right.
It's not an issue. You scammed a company. Really? The same company that paid me $1.5 million. I scammed them for another 500 and then another 250 and another 4.
Yeah.
Like, really? They're publicly traded. You think that they don't go through a huge vetting process?
Yeah. I mean, it's really a bit far-fetched, but the other thing I don't know the language you guys speak, and it is a language in and of itself, but sure. I do know that it is very, very specific and unique to each and every, I guess, job or, whatever it may be. And it seems to me like, almost like people who do proofs, like math proofs.
Yeah.
That some people get so far into a proof and then they get stuck, and other people are like, wow, he solved that proof. Oh my God. It's like, to me, there's something about hacking that is similar to that. And I think sometimes like the language that I see people using is like, well, dude, just because you didn't understand how he did it doesn't mean that he didn't do it. You know what I mean? Like, you just admitted that you're not sure if or how he did what he did, but you don't think he did it, but that doesn't mean that he didn't do it. You know what I mean? I'm like, wait a minute, this sounds a lot like, there's a lot of wordplay that goes on. And it reminds me, a lot about a lot of the shit I read about, people and companies putting out, their quote science and the way that they play with words, because they can't come out and say this exactly because they don't know.
Right. Yeah.
But,
I mean, it's fun. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's an interesting space, right? Like there's the small group of haters, and then there's like, and they always pop up somewhere, like even if you block
on
them,
Twitter,
right? On Twitter, always there, and then they'll write blog posts and do memes about you. So, what's funny because like my name is Jonathan Scott. So like I'm in the last process of actually changing my last name.
okay,
right? So I don't want anything to do with my family. Like this is how bad things got. Like this is
wow,
like, I mean, people say, call people, I mean, the grifters, join my family,
yeah,
I mean, this is just the reality of a situation that I was in. I don't want to be a part of that. Right. So I submitted everything to the courts and was waiting, honestly,
right.
so that, I can kind of free myself, free my soul of all this negative energy that's attached to my name. Truly. I mean, it's like, I don't want to be a part of a lot of these things. I don't want to be a party to any of these things that are,
Yeah.
But anyway, so, but it was interesting because someone actually looked into me, right? One of the people that was, I guess, my harshest critic or my biggest hater, we can say, right?
Right.
Actually looked into who I was, and I said, I encourage you.
Right.
And they started kind of backpedaling and saying, wait a second.
Yeah.
This guy actually knows what he's doing. You guys are giving him hate. And it's funny because on the back, he messaged me on Telegram and actually apologized.
Wow.
And, and I apologized for, being rude to him too. And it was a back and forth. It's truly we were very hurtful to each other. The things we were saying publicly, even we apologized to each other.
That's nice that you guys, man, it's so important. I love when that happens. It's like, wait a minute, let's take a step back and take a deep breath. And what the hell are we doing? Especially when it's an all out thing in a public forum like Twitter, and it doesn't feel good,
No, and it's a big deal, like, because I mean, you're talking about, I was in a live one day. I was doing a live demonstration for vulnerability, and that's how I usually do my demos. And someone, was flooding my servers with go kill yourself, and I could actually see the request, or the requests come through the servers. Like I could actually see the text coming onto the servers. And it took me back a little bit, right? Like we've gotten to a point where if you don't agree with how I'm programming something, you're going to go to the extent to
that's terrible
to say to go kill yourself, right? Like I mean, you're going to go that far, right? And these kinds of things. I mean, in the US, like people, bullying someone in that way, and people got into jail for this because
that's right. That's a big no, right?
Yeah, right. And so it's interesting because I took a minute, and I took some time away, right? I stopped, posting, and people were concerned. People were like, where is he? Is he okay? What's going on?
It's terrible, man. It's terrible. I don't, I try never to take it personal, and I try not to get too worked up. I'm passionate about a lot of things, but I try not to. It's hard. It gets harder when you're, and you feel like when you're talking to yourself, and there's really nothing you're going to say that's going to change anyone's ideas or beliefs, because they're just so ingrained. And so it's like, why engage at all? But I mean, it's messy out there, man. But speaking of servers, and I was reading that you had a hand in proving that, or like some kind of involvement in proving that Siri was listening even when it was disabled.
Absolutely.
And that you showed that. That's how the hell did you, like, I mean, I guess can you talk a little bit about how that cool.
Yeah. So, I've been a mobile security engineer, specifically mobile security engineering, for going on 9 years now. So learning, the ins and outs of mobile operating systems has been my core focus. When IoT became kind of a buzzword, I guess maybe about 6 or 7 years ago, I started jumping into that too.
What's IoT?
Internet of Things. So
Okay.
yeah. So like
That's
everything around us, it's connected,
right.
So I started, diving into all these things. And well, so Apple was always the thing that was always kind of mystifying to people because they were so locked down, like like unhackable, right? The iPhone's the most secure kind of thing, right? And so I understood how Apple was working. I understand like the lower level, like the chips. I understood like how the chips were communicating with the phone software. And so I realized, wait a second, this is not right. I can actually see all of the log files inside of these phones, and all this information is actually coming across and being saved when
Wow.
it's disabled. And so I've known this for years, and it's really funny because when I'm teaching people actually how to perform these things on their own and extract this information on their own devices, I go back into my live demonstration and I say, look, I've been collecting these things since, I believe I had it since like 2018. Just these specific kinds of logs. This is real. It's been happening for a long time. Like these,
Yeah.
And that was just like not even my backups, because even my backups, I believe I went back to 2016. I'm talking about like we can pull up information historically, right? And so one of my experiments was this. So with iOS 15 first came out, I said, I'm going to wipe a phone, right? Completely wipe the phone, and then show you that I can historically pull the data from that device. And it's going to be interesting because, well, the phone's wiped. How can you actually pull information from a wiped phone? And I show how to do it. And so it was a three-part experiment that I posted. And it's the iOS 15 experiment. And you know what? No one argued that. Generally, there's
you get the backlash.
Yeah, there was none.
Wow.
There was none because again, all the code was shown. I made short videos on how to actually perform these things. The full write-up was done. There was not one person that had anything negative to say or try to disprove it.
Wow.
And it's interesting again, because yes, these records are real. And then again, even after I did this experiment, so I was researching more, and I found that there was another company that had actually done something similar. And I posted their link on Twitter and showed that yes, another company actually found that even when Siri was disabled, it was recording your audio. Right.
Wow.
I think I'm blinking in and out. I don't know.
Yeah, you blinked for a few seconds there, but
yeah, so they found the same thing, and interesting, right?
It's just fascinating because it's like God knows what we all know. Information is gold these days, right? I mean, we've seen the rise of big tech not only because of their technology, but also because of their ability to sell our information. I mean, let's be real. And the fact that they are collecting it in so many ways these days through the devices and through their partnerships with each other, it's like, it's just scary. I mean, I was reading somewhere that Amazon knows when a woman is pregnant before she does.
Sorry, I think my video went out.
Oh yeah. Okay. Hold on. Shit.
Hold on. Sorry.
Yeah, actually it was an AI, it was a software guy who told me that Amazon actually has their algorithms so trained that they know when. I'll just talk to you until you come back. Until they know when a woman is pregnant before she does.
Oh wow.
It's fucking crazy, right?
Yeah. Oh, let me switch. Let me see what's going on. I'm sorry about this.
That's okay.
Okay.
There you go.
I think that fixed it. Yeah. This information is leaking.
It's everywhere, man. Yeah.
Right. Like, and it's being collected. Right. And so, I was, demonstrating even in the HomePod, right? Like, so I got 2 HomePod minis, and I unboxed these things live. So like, this is brand new. This is,
right.
Man, I was pulling information from a
Wow.
HomePod that I had just set up from a phone that was not connected to the HomePod. And just like, yeah, and it's live. This is live that I did this. And I stopped the video early. I stopped recording early because of the type of information that I was actually pulling. I didn't want people to see what they could actually pull. Like there is, I'm not evil.
Wow.
I didn't want to, like, there's an ethical side to all of the things that I'm showing.
Right.
This is a real issue. And then I further go to find out that another company again was that people are doing these experiments, like big research companies, and they found that HomePod again was compromised, right? Flooded with malware.
I have a HomePod.
And yeah, I mean, that it's just like, look, there, and I tell people, I don't want to spread fear, undoubt,
right.
fear, uncertainty, and doubt, right? FUD. I want you to know what's actually happening, and if you're okay with it,
right,
then you're okay.
And a lot of people are. That's fine.
Yeah.
But my question is, so the data that you are pulling, where did that come from? So where is that coming from? Like, because like you said that it was connected to a phone. Right. Like I'm just, if it's coming out of the box and supposedly coming right out of the factory, where is the data coming from?
Right. So when I set the HomePod up, I had two phones with me. I had an iPhone 13 Pro, and then I had an iPhone 11 Pro. Okay. I set the phone up with an iPhone 13 Pro. I'm sorry. I set the HomePod up with the iPhone 13 Pro, and I had the iPhone 11 Pro just sitting over here, right? Just an extra thing. Initially, I was going to set it up with the iPhone 11 Pro, but it didn't have an iCloud account on it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And so, of course, you needed to have an iCloud attached to your HomePod.
Right.
So I set the HomePod up with the 13 Pro, and we're connected. It's all good. We can hear it. And so then I took the 11 Pro and I would hover over it, and it would start trying to play a song. Okay. All right. So, and then we got a consistency and like, all right, well, how do I do this? So I kept, hovering over, and I found that, NFC was, popping this thing up, popping, the music player on the phone. But then what was interesting, so I trigger this system diagnostics on the phone, and I teach people how to do this, right? You volume up, volume down in power, press them all at the same time, and then release, and you're going to feel a buzz. Sometimes it's going to take a screenshot. But that buzz actually creates triggers a system diagnostics, an internal system diagnostics, which collects everything. They're already, you imagine everything around you is being collected already, but that system diagnostics, it gathers all the information that it's been collecting and puts it into a nice package for you. Okay. And so what happened was, on that phone that was not set up, no iCloud on it, I was pulling information from the 13 Pro that was connected to that HomePod. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
I think so.
This phone that had never touched the HomePod ever, was now pulling information from my personal cell phone. Because,
I see.
Yeah.
Like, not for you, obviously. I mean, for you, because you were looking into it, but for them, for Apple or whoever.
Well, like essentially, I think to make it easier, like, I'm at your house, right? And you have an Apple HomePod and you're playing music. I can actually pull information about you. I may not know you well, right? But if I'm close enough to your HomePod and I trigger this diagnostics.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
What's going to happen is I can grab a lot of information about you, never being connected to your Wi-Fi ever. Right. Just by sitting next to your HomePod and triggering a system diagnostics, I can pull a lot of information about you with never. And so this is the same thing. We'll go like at a Starbucks, right?
Yeah.
You're sitting around someone, because Apple's ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
It connects everybody. It's like, you don't have a choice. That's the way the software works. It's
Wow.
if there's another Apple device around, it automatically connects to it.
Wow.
And I prove this, and this is super, super dangerous, right?
Mm. Well,
And again,
yeah, because it has so many fucking I mean, think about, I mean, and between the apps, writing it into their software because they know Apple has the capacity, but the interface, you know what I mean? Like I was like on Telegram the other day, and it was like, and I touched my settings because I wanted to see what they were on, and it was like, would you like to see people around you? And I was like, what? Yeah. What? And then you look and like, these are the groups that are active right around you. And I'm like, how the fuck? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, this is a huge network thing. And talk about, it's crazy. Man, it's
super dangerous.
I mean, no wonder, no wonder there was all those memes that went around about the NSA and Apple and like, like NSA, like looking at Apple, like, like you look at like a big steak or,
oh yeah, absolutely,
your ultimate fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
And now I understand them a little more.
I think it's funny, like, one of the big projects that I'm involved with is Pegasus spyware. That's spyware is real, man. And that's funny. Edward Snowden actually said recently, he said, stop hating on Apple. They're the ones that they're out of all the companies out there. And he was saying this in a way that was, I think you'll understand. They've been so honest about putting spyware out on your phones. They've been straight up about it. They're like, we track this, we have this, we do this, and y'all are acting like this is brand new. And I'm not saying it's brand new. I'm trying to expose on how it's done and show you the proof on what's actually happening within your own device. But then it all comes down to, we signed that policy.
That's right. We agree to it every time we buy something.
Exactly.
I mean, there should be laws saying that they can't make the print, literally 0.1 of a millimeter big on a 38-page pamphlet that they know you're never going to read. That's almost like, I don't know. That's like the equivalent of like, getting someone to sign something and they don't know what it is. It's no different. It's literally what it is.
That's the argument.
That's against the law. Last I checked.
That's the argument, man. That's the argument. Yes.
But when you're, obviously probably there are some bad actors or even some people, involved in the Russian government who are probably trying to hack America on a regular basis. But like how much of it is really going on and like at all times, and are countries like America and Russia, are they constantly trying to like, let's see how far we can get into their, like, is there like a hacking war going on?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, real time, right? Like we can see these, we can actually see the attacks happening in real time. There's a lot of websites that show like a map, global
I didn't
map.
know that.
And
damn.
we can see that the literally attacks, and we're attacking just as much.
Oh, right? I'm sure. Are you kidding me? Fucking my God.
I mean, you're not innocent at all, right? Like it's many times, we're taking systems down around the world. I mean, this is real. I mean, look, the internet is the internet of the people, right? Like this is literally like the internet is for the people, and that means you can see what's happening around the world, right? Specific, packets that are, like bank transfers, these are secured, whatever. But when you're targeting like open servers or like specific kinds of servers, you're sending, you're attacking another country, and we can see that there's a lot of traffic, going, like we can detect these things. But yeah, it's real, right? But as far as like the consciousness, now this is another level. Okay. Like, so, I work with, specific people around the world, that are been affected, by either energy weapons, or spyware technology that, it's truly kind of like dismantling their lives.
People have no idea, man. People will have no idea, if you know anyone who's been targeted by, a clandestine energy weapon. And I mean like, I don't know, like I know somebody, I mean, he's pretty well known, but He's slightly controversial, but he's very, very noble. I mean, Dr. Stephen Greer, I'm just going to say his name.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah. I've spoken to Stephen Greer.
he's awesome. I mean,
Mhm.
my brother just got back from a week long retreat with him, and he's blown
Oh
away.
yeah.
You know, I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, I'm so jealous. I would love to go, you know, but you know, if you know Dr. Greer's life, and you know that when he was, you know, really pushing, they
Mhm.
targeted him and his right hand woman, a woman he was very close with, who worked with him on everything,
Yeah.
and him, her, and his dog all developed metastasized cancer at the same exact fucking time.
Yeah.
Now, this is a doctor, and I mean,
Yeah.
Dr. Greer, he's not just
Mhm.
a PhD because he went to school, but he was a emergency room
Medical
clinic,
doctor. Yeah.
you know, a board certified emergency doctor, worked in an
Right.
emergency room, you know. So, and he's a very, you know, he's still very fit.
Sure. Sure.
And so, you know, when your best friend, who you happen to be spending the most time with because you're kind of on this crazy mission, and your dog all develop metastasized cancer at the exact same time, you start scratching your head a little bit, especially
Yeah.
when you are, you know, the attack that happened was visceral and felt and
Yeah.
extremely painful. You know, like he talks about it. Um, Sorry about the sirens.
No,
It's fucking New York City.
no,
Yeah.
it's okay. I mean, was it to Close Encounters of the Fifth
Yeah.
Kind,
Close
or
Encounters of the Fifth Kind.
right?
That's, yeah.
What that was, like his retreat or whatnot? Is that what it's?
Oh, so he does
Six.
Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind CE5 retreats.
Oh, CE5. Yeah,
Um,
that's right. Mhm.
yeah, and he does them, you know, every few months. He
Yeah.
takes a group out, and it's a lot of meditation,
Yeah.
beautiful meditations he does. And my brother was just like, my brother, who that's my twin brother. He's not.
Mhm.
I mean, you know, I'm kind of a daily practitioner, and you know, meditation has become part of my life, and I'm always trying to get him involved,
Of
and
course.
trying to get him kind of into it. But he, you know, he's a different animal than me, even though we're identical twins, and his road has been very different from mine. And but he called me one day, and he was like, dude, I signed up for Dr. Greer's retreat. I was like, get the fuck out. You know,
Wow. It's
I was so
amazing.
thrilled for him, you know, not just because I knew that he was going to, you know, go out and see, you know, UFOs, but I knew that he was going to be on this meditation retreat, which was,
Yes.
you know, I was like, I was, you know, tearing up. I was so happy. I've been waiting for him to kind of make this turn. And
Yeah.
he was like, dude, he was like, when Dr. Greer guides this meditation, he was like, dude, I'm telling you, he's like, his like whole aura lights up
Hmm.
gold. He was like, I've
Yeah.
never seen anything like it. He's like, it's just crazy what happens around him when he goes into these. And that's because he's, you know, he's a pretty evolved dude. I have a lot of respect and admiration for him. But yeah, man, people
Yeah.
don't realize, man, energy. I mean, and they're not only are they real, they're not even new. You know what I'm saying?
No,
Like,
they're not. They're not.
not at
You're right.
all. It's crazy. And
Yeah.
we've just been sitting on them.
No, I agree. I mean, you're talking about consciousness, right? Like, and you know, I mean, we can talk about, you know, astral projection even, right? I mean,
Yeah,
these kinds of things are real. I mean, these are you know, the government, you know, has admitted to having these, you know, and there's documents, declassified
that's
documents
right.
actually about this. I mean, people say that MK Ultra is dead. It's not dead.
No, they just rename it, dude.
They
They just rename
renamed
it.
it. Exactly. It's a real thing. It's really happening. You know, like Savannah syndrome, right? Like, I mean, you're
Yeah,
talking about like people are coming out and saying, you know, look, I was attacked by energy weapons, and the government at the time was like, no way,
yeah,
no
yeah.
way, you're crazy, like you're literally, you're nuts. But
Just
so did
imagine,
they say, they said the same thing about UAPs. They
right?
said, you're crazy, you're nuts,
Oh,
we're gonna
for how many years?
we're gonna institutionalize you. People have
Right.
died, right? People committed suicide, people killed others, like people like truly gone mad, thinking that, you know, like they've
Yeah,
been medicated. Who's responsible for that?
right. I mean,
Like,
talk about propaganda.
right. And so, and then you finally come out and you say, we
Oh yeah,
have
by
been
the way, we
tracking
have some recovered
UAPs.
vehicles. Oh, there goes my dogs. Hold
That's okay.
on. Oh
But
yeah,
yeah. And so it's like,
in the middle of
I'm
a
like,
pandemic.
yeah. And I'm like,
And by the way, we
who's
recovered some
responsible?
off-world vehicles. Off-world vehicles.
What?
What do they mean by off-world? Anyway, what's going on with the Rona?
Right. I'm like, God bless. You know, like this is one of those things. It's like, you know, like you've institutionalized people for thinking that what they saw, but then you're like, well, I mean, come
Yeah.
on, right?
Meanwhile, they're
Like,
building a fleet of them.
man, I'm just like, where, like, the disinformation machine is real and alive,
Oh my God, dude.
and harming people, right?
Yeah.
Come on,
No, it's not cool,
you
man.
know.
It's, I mean, and you just, you can't switch the thinking overnight either. So now, even though they're like, this drip disclosure they got going on, which is all an agenda. And,
Oh yeah.
I mean, don't even get me started on it, but it's, you still, the thinking is no one the reason why people are like quietly just kind of like gloss over it is because there is so much societal negative reinforcement packed into, if I look at that sentence and I take it seriously, people might think I'm crazy. I mean, that may not even be a conscious thought, but when you have a whole generation after generation of people who are taught by the actions of society that if they come out and say that they saw this or experienced this, they will be shamed, they will be ridiculed, they'll be slandered. That doesn't just go away just because you decided that you're going to change, enact part, plan B of your agenda. That doesn't just go away. People aren't going to just like, oh, okay, it's cool now. No one's going to fucking talk about it. I mean, like, it's just absurd. I mean, the propaganda machine that is always in motion is crazy. And it's like they've executed Order 66 now with everything that's been going on in the last 2 years. God knows what's next. I hate to be, negative about it, but people need to wake up to it. Is what it is.
You have to wake up to it. You have to realize this, what's really happening, right? I mean, I'm with you on that. I mean, and look, this is it's a global issue in the sense that, right? Like, let's just take the Indian culture, for example. I mean, there's so many people that I've spoken to, Indian people that have said, we can't speak about, aliens or we can't speak about UFOs or UAPs. Like it's, we'll be the pariahs, right? We're the outcasts in our society. And so speaking about this is not, plus, we're talking about like religious, beliefs are involved. You're talking about like in the United States, you can be that, that guy.
You can be the crazy guy in the family. Yeah.
Right. But in other parts of the world, I mean,
yeah, it's
a big deal, man. And so they live with this like sense, like this true feeling their entire lives, and in their experiences, like they live with these experiences and they can't share it with people because of a fear of being disowned or society just kind of
ostracizing them. Yeah.
And this is horrible. It's horrible, man.
It is. It's and that's, and every culture is different, and it's just, it's fucking, God, I hope it, that how taboo it was. And I hope that I mean, look, one way or the other, it's going to go away, because we've not only have we outgrown it, but the powers that be, at least for now, God willing, they're not the powers that be for, that much longer, but, they've decided that it's, they're going to allow for more, this dissemination of information without the ridicule. So God willing, that fosters more and more people talking about it, and it kind of grows out of their hands, right? Because they want to control everything. And the fact of the matter is, this is a thing that is much bigger than them. This is a global and universal subject, and we are all citizens of the fucking universe. That's we're not here by chance. And the people who believe that, I feel sorry for them. A lot of people do believe that, but it's mind blowing to me. That's a whole nother podcast we can have. But I want to get back to hacking. I have you.
I was going to go on to Morehouse. I was going to go into Morehouse and all his stuff that he's done in that. I mean, that's amazing stuff. That's like mind hacking.
Oh yeah.
But anyways, go ahead. Let's go.
But dude, be like, I don't know. He was talking to it was supposed to be about hacking, but they didn't really talk about it.
we went into consciousness, psychedelics. We went
be like,
into,
well, it's Faust. Yeah. What'd you expect?
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. That's what I'm saying. I
Thanks,
align
man.
with you on all this stuff. Like, dude, I'm immersed in this. I'm like deep immersed in like my friend Nate Scholes. He actually holds a show, Nate Night Talks, and he has a podcast. And then
Cool.
he interviews a bunch of people, in this space. And then I'm friends with Roderick. Just kind of like these. I've been researching these things for years and years and years anyways, but I'm always science is my basis for, like, I want to know truth with scientific facts. Like I don't believe in God. I don't believe, but I believe there's a higher power, right?
Yeah.
And I'm searching, right? I'm always searching to understand what that is for me, right? But like, I always want to find the facts behind it, right? So this is kind of, anyways.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I align with you on that. So back to hacking.
No, that's awesome, man. I appreciate it, and I, I think that the more I learn, the more I look, and especially the more science that I understand, the more I'm like, there's absolutely a higher intelligence. You can call it whatever you want. The word God, unfortunately, has gotten a bad name, but there is a creative force in our, in our everything.
I'm with you on this. There's I used to live in Dallas, and I had a friend in Portland who said, "Hey, you know what? I know someone that does Reiki, and she's a master Reiki." And I was like, I don't really subscribe to that. Really, and I'm not really, and but then it was really amazing. I think it was like 2013, somewhere around there. Man, I was going through some stuff.
Yeah.
And but then I had spoken to this person, Reiki master, and then I had this wave come across me.
Wow. Yeah.
And it was fire. Like, it was just like
yeah,
like it was like a burning all throughout me, but it was in a good way. Like, it was, I'll never forget it. And I always share this story with people because I was that non-believer. She calls me
shake
up.
things up for you.
She calls me up 2 hours later and said, "Did you get my message?"
Yeah.
And my day after, so I was working at a company, Square One, engineering firm, and my day just got better after she sent that positive vibe. Fast forward to the beginning of this year, I'll say, just again going through all this like internal struggles, right? And man, I was in a clubhouse room, and I had and someone had reached out to me. I had never talked to them before, and I was just listening. Like, I wasn't very active at the time, and I was just listening, right? And man, he had messaged me on Instagram. I don't really check that too often. And he said, "I hope your day got better." But and man, it literally, like, I knew who he was. Like, he came into my life, literally, like, and I knew who he was before I read the message.
Right.
And I said, man, I was like, I believe like, I've had this before. Like, my day was, it was smooth. The day was amazing. I know my video keeps cutting. I think, what is going on? But man, like this, anyways, I thanked him, and he said, no need to thank me. He's like, so I felt you, and your presence and everything, he sent me this positive energy.
Yeah.
People say that I'm gonna send you positive energy, but some people, man, that is it. Like if you're sending that energy in its truest form, and with pure intentions, it gets to that person.
Literally, it's and people don't realize how powerful this is. Talk about interfacing with your environment. We interface, and the way we do it has an effect.
When I was in college, it was the first time I was an undergrad in Tennessee. I actually felt a tree. Like I felt a tree, and I'll never forget that experience. And after that, again, I never plucked a leaf. I never harmed anything, because it was like I felt that energy of a tree, and I'll never forget.
There's so much intelligence there. Man. So much energy. Okay, hacking. Anyway,
hacking the mind.
How did it go? Oh, it went great, man. What would you say is like I don't even know if I want to go there. Like, I think I'm gonna skip that question. It's a little, I want to keep it positive. Like, I don't know if this one's going to do that, but I was reading that, I think it might have even been like Adobe, or it was a company that was developing technology that could actually like help us edit and alter our voices to say anything we wanted. Right. But, and they had a beta of it, and it was about to be a commercial release, but then I think they had to pull it because it was like, it would have been way too dangerous to put out into the world. And like, you see some of these like questionable videos that come out or being released, and you're like, wait a minute, why is the president 15 times the size of Jimmy Carter and his wife? Like,
man, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, wait a minute.
We're talking about like deep fakes. We're talking about
deep fakes. Exactly. Like what? So like, seeing the power and manipulative potential of this deep fake technology. You know what I mean? Like what's going to keep us from falling into like these false flags and like all this bullshit they put out? It's like,
man, this is a good question.
But it's real. You know what I mean? It's like people don't realize that they have this at their fingertips.
This is a really interesting conversation because, as you know, Meta just came out, right? So Facebook has changed to Meta, which is this whole shift to the metaverse. And this is where, your avatar is supposed to look exactly like you, or pretty close to looking like you. And your voice is supposed to sound like you, right? And so in order to make sure that it's as close to you as possible, the technology had to exist to emulate you, right? Like, so let's just say, someone, maybe in the metaverse, you can actually speak when on Earth you can't actually speak, right? Or well, so it gets really interesting. The technology is out there too, right? The deep fake technology is really advanced now, and I'm sure it's only going to get even more advanced.
Yeah.
The technology for voice modulation and manipulation is advanced and exists, and is available to everyone, right? How do we confirm your identity is the question now, right? So we're moving so fast in the sense that, all right, so we're going to put all these technologies out, metaverse and all these things, but we've forgotten about the authentication and the security and the identity, validation portion of this whole thing. So right now, I mean, you can go on my wife loves to watch TikTok videos, and she shows me, like these, look, this guy's faking, Tom Cruise, right? This guy's faking.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Right. Like, and it looks pretty damn similar, right? I mean, and how are you validating, right? How do you know what a blue check mark? Come on. You know what I'm saying?
You don't have the blue check mark. That's why.
You don't have a blue check mark, then it's not the person. So now you have a verification in the metaverse. Fine. Watch me hack that.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? What, you need me to put a blue check mark next to my name? Okay, let's
really
do that real quick. Yeah. It's honestly, right? We could even literally put it in our name. They could put a little blue check mark in our name, and people wouldn't know that it's just slightly off from where it should be on a Twitter account, right? You could literally put that thing in there, that badge. Anyway, the point is that, how do we know that it's really that person? So are we conducting business with the right people?
Right.
Which this is actually happening in the real world in hacking, right? Like, these these hackers are actually impersonating like CEOs or some sort of an executive of a big corporation, setting meetings with other corporations and then funneling money out of that corporation. Like, we're not funneling, taking money from these corporations because they believe they're having meetings with like legitimate people.
I've seen some stories about that.
Yeah. And this is real. And this is, these are, as simple as it may seem, the links on a website, let's just say like you've linked your, you have a LinkedIn profile on your website. It says, hey, click this LinkedIn profile for this, for this investor of our company or this owner of our company. But if those links are broken because that investor no longer has their profile, or they no longer have, they're no longer on LinkedIn, they just deleted it. Someone can come behind and recreate that LinkedIn account with that string, with that account name, and they become that link on your website now.
I see. Yeah.
So now when someone clicks that link on your website that was once broken, they go to that impersonator.
Wow.
And then they start getting a following, they start getting it. And so now you're talking about like, some nefarious stuff happening, which broken links on a website now are vulnerabilities.
Wow.
They cause vulnerabilities, social engineering vulnerabilities, which are real. And this thing is, hackers in my space are like, well, it's not an issue. It's because you're looking at it from a technical side of things where you think that but you're not looking at it in a real world scenario. You're talking about hackers in the world. You account for less than zero, like, I think it was like less than 1/100% of people in the world, I think is what it was, are hackers. Small. It's so tiny. And I mentioned it, small minds stay small. Right. Like, you don't realize, like, you're a Twitter bro. You're like nobody in the world. I'm a nobody in the world as well. The rest of the world is experiencing all of these things. And to the rest of the world, what's happening is real, because I can be straightforward. I work for a crypto company.
Yeah.
We talk about these specific kinds of spear phishing attacks. Like there's a lot of thought. There's a lot of things, that we prepare. I work in security. I'm the lead mobile security for this crypto company. We see a lot of these things happening, and we train our people, how to protect yourself against all of these things.
Right.
Because we see other companies like literally being attacked in the same fashion. Right. And we don't want our people to fall prey to this. But yeah, I mean, look, the hackers, a lot of this God complex that hackers have, and they say this is not a vulnerability, it's not an issue. It's because you think technically, you think too technical instead of in the real world. Like, this is the reason why spyware has been around for so long, is because you've been looking all in the wrong places.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, you're literally too technical to realize that it's been in front of your face the entire time.
Lose objectivity. That's what happens. Dude, I remember I get a call. I should have recorded it. It was the craziest call. Like, and it was about a hack that happened. You probably know the name of it, but it was like, the call was funny because it was a woman who was kind of briefing me on something that happened. And she was like, and she kind of had an affectation. She was like, so like, this might sound crazy, but what happened was, and she was like, there was something like 230 million accounts hacked and all these passwords. And it was like, and it was 2020 when it happened. So of course the news went under the radar because of something else that was on the news all the time. But it was like this massive breach. And I'm trying to recall, like, if it was the federal government that got breached, or like what, like, but it was like they called it sunburst, and I was like, okay. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, what the hell was the name of that?
Solar flare.
Solar flare. That's what it was. And she's like, this is going to sound like it's like from a movie, but I'm being serious. So bear with me. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And she's like, all these, like, basically most of America got hacked and no one told anyone. I was like, oh, 2020, you continue to surprise me in the most amazing ways. I was like, so tell me again, like, tell people what solar flare was and what happened and how they missed it.
Do
you know it? Do you know about it? I mean,
I don't think I have enough information to speak on it. That's one thing.
Okay.
Or
No worries. I mean, I
yeah,
didn't even know the
yeah,
name of it. At least you knew the name of it. Yeah.
yeah,
You guys should Google maybe DuckDuckGo.
yeah, for sure.
Solar flare
Yeah,
hack. Yeah.
there's basics I know about it, but like that's a good thing. I should know more about that specific one. As far as details go, right? Like I don't.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
just seemed so big. And like I love how
yeah,
they didn't tell anyone,
yeah. I
Didn't
mean
make any
this,
news.
but this is how it goes though, right? Like this is you know, as far as reporting breaches and data leaks.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, man, most of the time you're not going to know about it. I
No.
mean, look, Costco just 3 days ago announced, "Hey, look, we had credit card skimmers inside of our
Oh yeah.
facilities." Oh wait, what? And then
Yeah.
Robinhood is like, "Sorry, guys, like 20 million, no, or like no, 3 million or something, so 3 million or even as far as 20 million people are like information exposed. One of those numbers, the higher or the lower." It's like okay, and but here's what's really interesting is I had some media write about this data leak that I found. um it was small media, right? But so I mean it's still active leak right now, literally. So what I found was in iso.org. Apple is bypassing a paywall for iso.org, so you have to pay for some data in order to get it on iso.org. But Apple says, no, I'm just going to use a backdoor and grab the information. And then they published this code inside of their operating system. Well, what happened was this backdoor into iso.org exposes over 10,000 plus customers, like
Wow.
emails, first names, last names, usernames, and it's a giant list. And this has been validated by media sources as well. I've reported it to Apple. I reported it to iso.org several times.
Wow.
No response. And it's still out there. Like you're talking about, like I'm talking about like government emails, usernames, first and last names around the world. Like this isn't a small thing.
Yeah.
And that's just there. And even this media source went as far as they dug deeper, and they actually said, look, we found 175,000 records of like, and then they go deep into their article about this and they confirm, they validate all this, and no one's doing anything about it.
Yeah. Well, they might be, but you won't know about it until it gets fixed. It's like, fuck.
Yeah.
It's such a shit show.
And it's not a vulnerability at that point, or at that point, it's like we can't replicate the issue. We can't find, we don't know what you, but I'm like, look, so I got to the point, because this was happening a lot. I said, I'm going to disclose first. I'm going to tell the people first, and I'm going to give the people a fighting chance first. Okay. Because what happens is big tech says, I'm going to sue you.
Yeah.
If you talk about what you sent to us. And so people are saying, well, this is not ethical disclosure, or let me tell you, the people come first.
Right.
Let me tell you about the ethics in that. I'm telling you what's affecting you right now.
Right. Because you can't trust them to. That's the thing.
Right. And I'm telling you how to remediate, how to fix this, at least temporarily, or stop something from happening. I always include that when I disclose these things.
Right.
I'm giving you the opportunity to understand first. Then number two, then I'm going to the product owner. I'm going to the people that this is happening to and saying, look, here you go. Because what happens is if I don't do it like that, I get silenced.
Right.
And then fear of legal action. Right. But and they still send that. So after I submit things, they say, you can't talk about this while it's under review.
Desist, yeah.
But you know what? I've already spoken about it before I sent it to you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm all about free speech. I'm all about, look, the people come first and foremost, right?
Yeah.
And if we forget, the people are in these big tech corporations. These are the people that work for them. They are affected just like everyone else in the world. If you have a vulnerability in your iPhone or your Android, or
look at Bezos, he had his WhatsApp hacked.
There you go.
Boom. Nobody is impervious.
Right.
So I mean, they live in this world. That's at the end of the day. So
yeah, man, I'm all about that. You protect the people first. give them a fighting chance, because
Yeah.
a lot of the time, a lot of these things get swept under the rug, just like you're talking about, and we don't hear about it. We don't hear about it.
Yeah, man. It's
So
a real thing, so let's go a little far out there now
yeah,
for
let's
our
do it.
final few chapters here, like how close do you think we are as a society to, kind of Elon Musking our hacking right into our body, like with microchipping and the native electrical impulses? And I mean, we're
Sure.
to a degree with the gene editing that we're getting into, and the way we're playing with it, it's almost like we're already doing it, but at the same time, like, well, let's go real sci-fi. What do you think about that?
Man, look, again, so my friend Nate Scholes that I was telling you about, his brother and I had this deep conversation, and his brother's a scientist, he owns a huge, actually huge laboratory. What you're saying is real, right? Because he has government grants, like he's got like government money to
Wow.
create these types of technologies. He's truly like manipulating the body in a way that he's a body hacker, right? Like literally like hacks, not just, he's a biohacker, right?
Right.
But he can manipulate the body and so many things. I'm talking like the cause and effect of what they're doing manipulates, it changes, your mindset. Like, I mean, you're talking about like a true, these things are really happening. And I've seen the work that he's doing. Again, his intentions, right, are good intentions.
Right.
And this is where, again, I believe that what he's doing is good, and I can sense in his heart, right?
Right.
But what happens with the technology that you create like that?
Yeah.
Because you're being paid, right? Like, like,
I mean, look at where we're at right now. We could not be where we're at right now in a society if, the little, I don't even know if they were actually Seattle based or if they just had Seattle, but the company that really brought the quote AI, the advancement of algorithms in our society that took place and really happened under, what's the name of the company? Seattle something, the ones that sold to Google for like $160 million, they all bid, but Google won out. But Google saw what this was going to be capable of, but they made Google sign an ethical agreement that said that they would never sell it to the government to be used as a weapon. And now, of course, the people who made this deal, I think, are long since out of Google.
Yeah.
Google's no longer the company it was, or I don't think that they would have ever even considered selling to them. Google became the company it is today, in part because of this, monster algorithmic power that they came into. I think it was back in, I want to say 2000. I don't know, was it 2003? I don't know, but when they really realized that they had the power to access and collect data on absolutely fucking everything. And since then, the other social media, now everybody is using one version or other of this, of the deep learning AI, the algorithmic system that we see. And that's for people who are listening, that's the system that knows what you want to watch next on Netflix without you ever having to say anything. It just knows from what you previously watched. That's the same predictive system that, knows what to show you on your phone that you, son of a bitch, how did it know I was looking for shorts?
Yes. No, that's just real. That's real.
It's a part of, but not only that, but it's the same AI that has learned to recognize your face on your phone, recognize the speech pattern. It's the same AI that allows Siri and Alexa to talk to you in a way that's coherent and not like, I was going to use a word that's become bad these days, retarded, you know what I mean? Like not totally like just disjointed. And, because for the longest time they had software that could take dictation, but it couldn't speak to you for shit, and even the dictation it took wasn't that great. But, the advances in algorithmic technology, and they call it AI because it learns. That's the only reason why they call it AI, because it learns, and it learns in a way that mirrors the way our neural network in our brain learns.
Right.
But and it'll learn on its own, and of course it does better when we give it parameters. But obviously you're seeing that taken advantage of all around the world by different entities and parties, and sometimes it's for good, and most of the time it's for gain, right?
And this is real, right? So even the the facial recognition technology, is being used around the world to have this rating system. Let's take China, for example, right? Like people have this, I can't remember what they exactly call it, but it's like a rating system. Like you have a number assigned to you based off of specific
the social credit.
There you go. Social credit. Yeah. So social credit score.
Right.
Crazy. Yeah. Honestly, like you're restricted from XYZ. Like you can't do XYZ. I'm like, are you kidding me?
And that's where they want to go, man. That's where they want to take us. God willing, we wake up to it, and because people are like, oh no, somehow they don't see it. Somehow they don't see the correlation. I think they see what's happening in Australia, and they're like, oh well, they'll work it out. Or even Canada. Just look at Canada. Yeah. Finally Canada, some provinces are like, okay, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that here. But it's just, that's a whole other podcast, but we could get into, but that's technology, and that's what it's being used for. I mean, I like how Netflix knows what I want to watch. That's cool. Sure. I'm okay with that. That's a good use of the technology. I'm not okay with them, turning our world into Minority Report and having us check in with our retinas and facial recognition everywhere we go. But that's what China's doing. So it's no longer sci-fi.
It's real.
They literally have their entire, their cities. There is facial recognition software everywhere.
It's littered with it, man.
Yeah. And they continue to reverse engineer absolutely all our technology.
Yep.
They put their slave labor to work, and it's just how can you compete? And no one says shit. No one says anything about China. You know what I mean? Like, they do, but no one's listening. Right. It's atrocious, but
it's real.
Yeah,
what you're saying is absolutely real. And as Americans, many times we're literally disconnected from what's not happening. If it's not happening in America, it's not happening to us, right? Like,
of course.
Nobody knew about Pegasus spyware until, I guess I won't say nobody, but like a lot of people, even that I've talked to even recently, is like, what is Pegasus spyware? Yeah. What is this? And I'm like, this is real thing that's been happening. Like, people around the world have been dying, right? Like, people have been literally dying from this spyware. It's affecting the world, but again, if it's not affecting the U.S. and if there's no threat to the U.S., then no big deal. Right. And it wasn't actually till recently, I think even just last week again, the government said that this is a national security issue. Pegasus spyware, they said, is a national security issue.
Wow.
And so finally it's being recognized after years and years of being known to be out in the wild.
Wow.
Now the Americans are saying, yes, this is an issue for us.
Yeah.
Wait. Why did it take us so long, to say this is an issue? And then, but while the rest of the world has been experiencing this for years and years, we need to wake up in that sense to look around us and see what else is happening in the world, and see the humanitarian crisis that's actually happening because of the technology that's being put out into the world. The human rights violations, people need to understand data, somebody taking your data is a violation of your rights, right? And using it against you, this is a violation of your privacy. So violation of privacy is a violation of your human rights. All of these things are real. Even why data privacy laws like GDPR exist, right? Like in the UK, like there's a lot of countries and around the world that are shifting to to their own data privacy laws, because it's needed, because all of these technologies around you are just sucking out the information from you, just funneling it out, and then literally putting it into these algorithms, and then building a profile on you. Yep. And then you can't get to, man, it goes deep. Like
it goes real deep.
It affects you now. That's the thing. It affects you right now.
Yeah.
You know,
totally. I mean, we're going to have another pot. We're going to have to have another session, because there's just so much to talk about, man.
There is.
You know, but let me ask you one more far out question. Yeah. Before we call it a night, but we have to do this again, because there's just too much to talk about. Like, have you ever had, I mean, I love how you told me about the experience you had, like with Reiki and feeling the how powerful energy transmission can be. Right. And we talked about that in more than one way, but have you ever had an experience, that was like, really difficult to explain with your senses, and maybe it wasn't, maybe it was like, maybe it was something like a UFO or like a supernatural, and I don't mean so much in the Hollywood sense.
Did you message Eklund?
No, man, I should have. I should have, man. Why was he with you?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. But I can answer that.
We're talking about Michael Eklund. He's a fantastic actor. I did a movie with him called Dead Draw. He's like, man, he's one of my, if not my favorite Canadian of all time. He's the coolest, nicest cat. And he always plays these hard guys, but he's like, man, it's just such a sweetheart. I'm going to send him a link to this podcast. He's going to be like, no way.
Yeah, man. So you're right. I share that sentiment, right? He's like just amazing, like super amazing guy. He was telling a story one day, and it was not I'll let him tell a story. Maybe when I'll be on the, like I said, I messaged you and I said, we'll have him tell a story, but the short of it is he's talking about his dad, and his dad had said, if you go out, because his dad was actually pretty deep into a lot of like research in UAPs.
Phenomenology. Mikey's big into that too. He loves that stuff.
But his dad was like legit. Like I looked him up, and then I mean, his dad was like
awesome,
super legit guy, right? Like well known for all this stuff too. Like worked for the government, but anyway, so his dad had said that if he went outside and he took a flashlight, he said they're always watching.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go outside with the right mind and you flash a flashlight 3 times into the sky, and then you wait, they'll appear to you.
Wow.
And so I go out.
So you went home and tried.
And so I go. Well, my wife and I was like, Eklund said to try this, and so we go and we try this, and man, I'm telling you,
that's crazy, dude. That's like a little CE5 event right there,
dude. My wife and I both.
Wow.
We didn't have our phones with us. We didn't have it. We went out.
Yeah.
Fully open-minded, like everything, and like
that's awesome,
dude. What we saw, it was unbelievable, like amazing, like literally life-changing, that we'll never forget. Like,
wow,
like in our face, like here we are, like it was like
that's crazy.
What was presented to us was like both of us right together experiencing this, and we both were like, this is. But and just like Mike's dad said, when you believe that it's not going to happen, but you still went out there wholeheartedly, that's when it actually truly appears. And it happened exactly like he said.
Wow.
And man,
that's mind blowing.
I will never forget it.
I'm telling you, dude, it's like people don't, it's like a religious experience. I had someone
Yes.
say that, and he's an atheist, and he was like, oh, it was like religious. I'm like, that is so weird that you say that because you're an atheist. But
Right.
man, that's an incredible story. I can't wait to send this link to Mikey.
Oh man.
I'm gonna be like, you gotta hear the end, bro.
Yeah, but
That's a great story.
his story, man, his story that he told was, and he was actually, so he was sharing this in a clubhouse room, because we have the same friends, like we have the same friends
Oh,
with
cool.
Nate Scholes is kind of like our the binder,
Right.
like introduced all of it, like everyone, but like, dude, the story, like he, and I mean, I've talked to him clearly, like, many other
Right.
times offline, on things, but it's just like, it like changed my life, dude.
Yeah.
You can't, I mean, I don't know if I can explain it. Like you said,
And
if you
I
ever had something
understand.
that you
Yeah.
can't explain, but I mean, I think it'd be worth, like, to have his story, him tell the story, and then people could comment and say, hey, I experienced it. I did exactly what he said to
Right.
do.
You can try it.
And
Yeah.
right, I think that would be super cool if you had that on your podcast, so people could, like,
Yeah. Especially
literally,
today, more than ever.
yeah,
Because I mean, that's literally that's like a Dr. Greer. It's like a mini Dr. Greer protocol, that what his
yeah,
dad told him. I mean, like that's kind of what Dr. Greer teaches. I mean, it's a lot more of an elaborate process with him, but that's like a mini version. Like that's the super
wow,
abridged version of it. So it'd be interesting to, maybe we'll put this out as a clip and tell people to try it, and then tell them to comment if they have a
yeah,
similar result, because that's incredible, dude. What
yeah,
a great story. What a great way to wrap up this conversation, with that kind
yeah.
of profound. That's so cool. So if you're listening to this, they're always watching.
They're
It's
always
your
watching.
consciousness that connects you to them, right?
That's 100% what it is. You're right.
And so if you go outside, don't forget to take your eye off your phone and look up.
Yeah.
And,
But leave your phone,
because there's a lot to see.
even. Yeah.
Yeah, leave
Leave
your
your
phone in.
phone and open your mind. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
right.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
Oh man, this has been awesome, Jonathan. I appreciate your time, brother. And we'll have to, we'll just have to do it again, because it's just like, between what's going on and all the
Yeah.
hacking stuff, we could talk for a long time. But I do want to hit you up again and
Let's do it.
get more into some of the more technical issues of all this stuff. And I
Yeah.
appreciate your knowledge and your wisdom and your time.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. I enjoyed it, 100%. I'd
Awesome,
love
man.
to come again. Yeah.
Cool beans, bro.
All right.
We'll do it again, and my best to you and your wife, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks. Take
Thanks,
care.
bro.